Hello students, welcome back to online classes. In last video we discussed about the alkaline earth metals general characteristics of compounds. So in this video we will discuss about the anomalous behavior of beryllium and some important compounds of the alkaline earth metals. So in that first one is the anomalous behavior of beryllium. Behavior of beryllium. So as I told, anomalous means it is showing some different properties compared to other group members. So in that the first one is the beryllium has a smaller size as well as smaller ionic radii. So because of this reason it should has high ionization enthalpy as well as high hydration energy compared to other group members. So it has high ionization energy as well as the hydration enthalpy. So due to its smaller size. So that is why it is being the anomalous compared to other group elements. So this is the first property. The beryllium has smaller atomic size and smaller ionic radii. Okay, smaller ionic radii compared to other group elements. So due to this nature it will forms a covalent compounds, but other group elements will forms the ionic compounds. So it will forms the covalent compounds and these are easily hydrolyzed with the waters. So due to this beryllium forms a covalent compounds and which are undergo hydrolysis with the water, easily hydrolyzed and it is has a larger hydration enthalpy as well as high ionization enthalpy. So due to its small size it is very difficult to remove its valence electron because of the larger interaction between the nucleus as well as the outermost electrons due to its smaller size. It has larger ionization enthalpy and hydration enthalpy. And next the beryllium oxides and hydroxides which are amphoteric in nature, but other group elements like calcium, barium, strontium, their oxides and hydroxides behave as a bases. In last video we discussed about the properties. In that I already told that the beryllium oxide and hydroxides, so those are behave as a amphoteric, means they will be act as both bases as well as the acids, but other group elements they will be behave as a bases of their oxides and hydroxides. So the beryllium oxides and hydroxides are behave as a, so it's a amphoteric in nature. Means they will be act as both acid and base. Shows accident basic property. But other group elements are behave as a basis, and the beryllium has atomic number 4, so that is 1s2 2s2, means it has the maximum capacity of forming coordination number only 4. So due to it has only 4 electrons in 1s2 orbital as well as a 2s2 orbital, as a result it will form only up to coordination number 4 compounds. So when this beryllium is attached to the any kind of ligands, it maximally forms only 4 coordination bonds, but other group elements they have more than atomic number 4, as a result they will able to form more than coordination number 4, maybe 6, 7, 8, etc. So more than 4 they will form the coordination number. The beryllium forms or beryllium does not exhibit more than coordination number more than 4 due to it has only 4 electrons in their atomic orbitals, but other group elements form more than 4 coordination number. So these are the anomalous properties of a beryllium. So firstly, it has smaller size and a smaller ionic radii compared to other group elements. As a result, it will form covalent compounds, and these are undergo hydrolysis very easily, and these beryllium covalent compounds are soluble in the organic solvents, and it has larger ionization enthalpy as well as the hydration enthalpy, and the beryllium does not exhibit the coordination number more than 4 because it has only 4 electrons in their atomic orbitals, and the beryllium oxides and hydroxides are behave as a amphoteric property, means they will be acting as both acids as well as the bases. So these are the anomalous behavior of beryllium, and it is also showing the diagonal relationship with the aluminum. So that's why it is different compared to other group elements. So this is about the anomalous behavior of beryllium. So next is the important compounds of the alkaline earth metals. In that you have only the calcium hydroxide as well as the calcium sulfate. So other portions are deleted. So that is why you have to study only about the calcium hydroxide as well as the calcium sulfate. Okay, in that first one is the calcium hydroxide. The calcium hydroxide. So it is also called as slaked lime. Calcium hydroxide or slaked lime. So it has chemical formula CaOH twice. So this is the chemical formula of the calcium hydroxide. So it is called as slaked lime because it is prepared by slaking water in the lime. So that's why it is called as a slaked lime. So we are preparing calcium hydroxide by adding water to lime. So that is calcium oxide. By adding water to calcium oxide, we will get the formation of a calcium hydroxide here. So that is why it is called as a slaked lime. And moreover, it has a white amorphous powder and it is sparingly soluble in the water. It is exist in amorphous powder form and it is sparingly soluble in the water, and The aqueous solution of this lime or a calcium hydroxide is said to be the lime water, and the aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide is said to be lime water, and suspension is said to be the milk of lime. So, suspension is said the milk of lime and aqueous solution is said to be the lime water. So, it is prepared by adding water to quicklime. So, that is calcium hydroxide. The calcium hydroxide is prepared by adding water to quicklime, that is calcium oxide, quicklime. So, it will form calcium hydroxide here, and it is amorphous in nature, amorphous powder form. Powder in nature, and aqueous solution is said to be lime water, and it is sparingly soluble in water. Not quickly, it is sparingly soluble in water, and aqueous solution of this is said to be aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide is called as lime water, and suspension is said to be the milk of lime. The suspension of calcium hydroxide or a slaked lime is called as milk of lime or milked lime. So, it is simply prepared by adding water to quicklime, and when the calcium hydroxide is passed through the carbon dioxide, it will form calcium carbonate with the white fumes. So, these white fumes will gives the information about the formation of a calcium carbonate. So, and this is also useful in the analysis of the carbonate radical. So, by adding the calcium hydroxide or by passing calcium hydroxide to the carbon dioxide, it will forms the calcium carbonate with the white fumes or a dense white fumes. So, in this way we can identify the presence of carbonates in the given unknown sample. Okay. So, this is the one of the important ionological, it is used in the qualitative analysis or a salt analysis. So, when carbon dioxide is passes through the calcium hydroxide or a slaked lime or a lime water, passes through lime water, it turns milky due to the formation of calcium carbonate. So, the reaction is the calcium hydroxide plus CO2, it will form CaCO3 with the liberation of water molecule. Okay. So again, if calcium carbonate, it is react with the excess carbon dioxide, it forms the calcium hydrogen carbonate. So when the calcium carbonate is treated with excess amount of carbon dioxide, then we will get the formation of the calcium hydrogen carbonate. So that is CaCO3, CO2, calcium hydrogen carbonate. So it is treated with excess of carbon dioxide and this precipitate is dissolved in the water. As a result, we will get the formation of calcium hydrogen carbonate. Calcium hydrogen carbonate. Calcium hydrogen carbonate. And this milk of lime is also reacts with the chlorine and forms hypochlorite, and it is the constituent of a bleaching powder. So this calcium hydroxide, it is also shows reaction with the chlorine. As a result, we will get the formation of a bleaching powder. So 2 moles of calcium hydroxide, they should react with the chlorine and forms the calcium chloride as well as the calcium hypochlorite. So this is the constituent of a bleaching powder. Bleaching powder. So in this way it shows the formation of calcium carbonate, calcium hydrogen carbonate as well as the formation of a bleaching powder. So that's why if you see the uses of this slaked lime, it is used as a mortar in a building material. So because of this nature, it is used as a mortar in a building material, and it is used in the whitewash due to its disinfectant nature. So it is used in whitewash. And the last use is it is used in the glass making, in tanning industry for the preparation of a bleaching powder and purification of a sugar. So it is used in the purification of sugar as well as in the manufacture of a bleaching powder. So this is about the calcium hydroxide or else a slaked lime. So it is prepared by adding water to the quicklime, that is calcium oxide. We will get the calcium hydroxide. It will, whenever it is sparingly dissolves in water, it forms the lime water, and suspension of this is said to be the milky lime or else a milk of lime, and it is reacts with carbon dioxide and forms calcium carbonate, and if it is excess it will forms calcium hydrogenate, and it is also useful in the formation of a bleaching powder by reacting with chlorine gas. So this is about the calcium hydroxide or else a slaked lime. So it is used as a mortar in building material. It is used in whitewash due to its disinfectant nature, and it is used in glass making as well as tan making industries, as well as the preparation of bleaching powder and purification of sugar. Mortar, whitewash due to disinfectant nature. And in glass industry, tanning industry, and in the preparation of bleaching powder, and it is also used in purification of sugar. sugar. So these are the uses of calcium hydroxide. Okay. So the next compound of calcium is the calcium sulfate or a plaster of Paris. Calcium sulfate, it is also called as the plaster of Paris because the main component for the preparation of this is gypsum. So this gypsum is found near the Paris. So that is why it is commonly and well knownly called as the plaster of Paris because the main component of this compound is gypsum. So it is found near in Paris. So that is why it is known as the plaster of Paris. Okay. So this gypsum has chemical formula the calcium sulfate dihydrate, means the calcium sulfate contains 2 moles of water molecule. So it is a hemihydrate of calcium sulfate. So by heating this gypsum at 393 Kelvin we will get the formation of the calcium sulfate here, and if we heaten this more than 393 Kelvin, all the water molecule will be left and it forms unhydrated salts of calcium sulfate. So there is no water molecule whenever we are heating this gypsum more than 393 Kelvin. So at 393 Kelvin we will get the calcium sulfate monohydrate. Okay. So it is hemihydrate of it is the hemihydrate of calcium sulfate and it is obtained when gypsum. So gypsum has chemical formula calcium sulfate dihydrate, CaSO4 2S2O. When gypsum is heated to 393 Kelvin. Okay. So 393 Kelvin. So that is 2 moles of calcium sulfate 2S2O. So we have to heat about 393 Kelvin and it forms calcium sulfate hydrate with the removal of water molecule. So by heating this gypsum, so at 393 Kelvin we will get the formation of a calcium sulfate monohydrate. So above 393 Kelvin no water crystallization is left and unhydrated calcium sulfate is obtained. So above 393 Kelvin no water is crystallization is left and anhydrous calcium sulfate is formed. Thus calcium sulfate is formed, means calcium sulfate with no water molecule. So that is said to be anhydrous calcium sulfate and it is known as a dead burnt plaster. So anhydrous calcium sulfate is known as a dead burnt sulfate because it does not have any water molecule. So it is called as, since it is called as dead burnt plaster. So dead burnt plaster is nothing but anhydrous form of a calcium sulfate. So it is obtained when we heated this calcium sulfate monohydrate above 393 Kelvin, we will get the formation of a anhydrous calcium sulfate, and it is showing more important property. So that is, whenever we are adding water to this, so it will become hard solid within a 5 to 15 minutes, means it will get the hard mass. So after the addition of the quantity of water, so adequate quantity of water to this molecule, we will get the hard base like a solid matter. So as a result of this, it is used in the building material. So due to its hard nature, we will get this material uses in lot in the building manufacture. So this is the remarkable property of this plaster of Paris. It is showing setting with water. Setting with water. We have to add the adequate quantity of water to this plaster of Paris. We will get the hard solids. And mixing with adequate quantity of water, it will mix it forms a plastic mass and gets into a hard solid within 5 to 15 minutes. So that is why, due to this nature, it is used in the construction of buildings, as well as whenever fracture is occurs in the backbone or else sprain, so it is also displaced by this the plaster of Paris or else the calcium sulfate. So due to its hard solid nature, so it is used in medical field also. So if we see the uses of this calcium sulfate, it is used in the building industry and also plasters, and it is used in medical field, and it is also used in the ornamental work. So these are the uses of the calcium sulfate or else the plaster of Paris in building industry, in medicinal field, as well as in ornamental work. It has its vital role. So these are the two compounds of calcium. So one is the calcium hydroxide and second one is the calcium sulfate. So the last part of this S block element is the uses of alkaline earth metals, that is group 2 elements. So uses of alkaline earth metals. So these are also have lot of benefits and uses. So beryllium, when it is combines with the other elements, it is also form alloys. So those alloys are useful in the many fields. So in that first one is the beryllium copper alloy. So when beryllium is mixed with the copper, it forms beryllium copper alloy. So adequate proportion we have to mix in with each other, we will get the different alloys, and these are useful in these beryllium copper alloys are used in the manufacture of high strength springs. Used in the manufacture of high strength springs. So this strengthen is occurs due to this alloy. So strength is obtained due to the formation of a beryllium and copper alloy. High strength springs. And this is also used in the manufacture of a X-ray tube. So this metallic beryllium, it is also used in the manufacture of a X-ray tubes. Metallic beryllium is also used in the preparation of X-ray tubes. So next, the magnesium is also forms alloys with the aluminum, copper, zinc, etc. So it is also the magnesium alloys also having the more number of uses. So this magnesium aluminum, it is used in the aircraft construction. The magnesium aluminum alloy, it is used in the aircraft construction. So it is also showing alloying nature by clubbing with aluminum, copper, zinc as well as other elements also. So in that the magnesium and aluminum alloys are used in the aircraft construction. So this is used in aircraft construction due to light mass, means when magnesium is combined with the aluminum, it will form very lighter material. So that is why it is used in the aircraft construction. And the magnesium is used in flash powders as well as the bulbs, and also the suspension of magnesium hydroxide in water, it is used. So the magnesium is used in the formation of flashes as well as the bulbs, and the suspension of magnesium in water, it is said to be the aqueous magnesia. It is used in the preparation of antacids. So the suspension of magnesium in water suspension of magnesium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide in water is used as a antacids, and it is powder or a ribbon form of magnesium is used in the preparation of flashes or else bombs. If we move towards the calcium, so these calcium and barium metals are highly reactive towards the oxygen as well as nitrogen. So that is why these are used in the removal of air or a vacuum. So these are calcium and barium, those are showing eager reaction with nitrogen and oxygen. Calcium and barium are showing reactivity towards the water, means they are reactivity towards oxygen as well as the nitrogen, towards oxygen and nitrogen. So that's why these are used in the removal of air or vacuum tubes. Air and nitrogen at elevated temperature means at increased temperature. Okay, at high temperature only these are showing reactivity towards the oxygen and nitrogen here. Increased temperature or also elevated temperature have often been used in, since these are used in removal of, to remove air or vacuum tubes. So calcium and barium. The radium salts are used in radiotherapy. So means it is used for the anti-cancer. So means for the treatment of cancer we are using the radium for radiotherapy. The radium is used in the radiotherapy, means that is treatment for cancer. So in this way the alkaline earth metals are having lot of uses. So these are the uses of alkaline earth metals. So this completes your the S block elements. So in this S block you learnt about the group 1 and group 2 elements and the general characteristics of compounds of alkali metals as well as the alkaline earth metals, and the anomalous behavior of lithium as well as the anomalous behavior of beryllium, and uses of both alkali metals as well as the alkaline earth metals. So other portions are deleted, so that's why don't worry about that portion. So only study well about this regarding S block elements portion. So it is some portions are deleted, so that's why I will end up with this. So this is about the S block elements. So in next video we will discuss about the new chapter, that is the P block elements. Thank you.